Hello and welcome back to Vegas Aces live stream. My name is Heather Ferris and I'll be your host for the day. On this live stream, we will be discussing how to split a pot when dealing poker. We're really excited about this. We are joined with our special guest today, Marc Shumsker with TruePokerDealer.com. Marc, you want to tell people a little bit more about yourself, where they could find you, and if you want to promote anything, go for it.
Sure. So I am Marc Shumsker, as Heather said. I'm on True Poker Dealer on YouTube, and I've known Heather for a while. She's in table game land. I'm in poker land, and we have a very similar role on YouTube, which is literally how we met. And so recently on my YouTube channel, I have released a course that teaches people how to deal a Texas Hold'em start to finish. I've also released a bonus mixed games course, which is meant for someone that's already a Texas Hold'em dealer that's looking to be able to pass like the series or the circuit auditions, and those can be pretty challenging. They have Omaha stud, all that stuff. And yeah, it's been fun being on YouTube almost as long as Heather. Mine's been about 9 years. I think hers is 10. And
no way, I thought we were at the same time.
I think you beat me by about a year, honestly, or it's something like that. Yeah.
Man,
that's okay.
In my head, I always thought we had it like we started exactly at the same time.
Well, maybe I should take some credit, and maybe you're right. I don't know.
If you guys are watching, if you have any questions at all for Marc or myself, please feel free to ask them in the chat and we will answer them depending on how relevant it is, either at the time or at the end of the video. Now, before we get started, I just want to remind you to subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell so that way you're always notified of our latest videos and live streams. If you're brand new to this channel and this is the first video you've ever seen, hi. My name is Heather Ferris, and I am the founder of Vegas Aces. I am an adjunct professor at UNLV, content creator, consultant, and I've been involved with the casino industry for over 15 years. I created Vegas Aces to teach people how to learn how to play and deal casino table games. And as a way to give back to our community, we offer a free dealing trade school where we help place dealers at no cost. Now, on with the show. Oh, before we start, we have a super chat. Thank you so much for the super chat, Jay. Really do appreciate it. And Jay says, hello to two of my favorite people in the industry, two of the best on YouTube. Thank you very much.
Hey, Jay, what's going on?
Jay is really cool. Jay is a fun character. If you ever get a chance, get to know him. He is super fun to be with, super fun to hang around with, and all of his videos are just so entertaining. It's the first time I went on his video and was interviewed, he did one of those things where it's like, I say a word and what's the first thing on your mind? That was cool. That was really cool. I got to do that one day. Maybe I'll do it with you someday. So let's get started. Now, back in the day, when I was learning how to deal poker, splitting the pot was always like the hardest part for me. I had a really hard time learning how to do this. And I think the problem was there was just so much to it, so many things to think about. Like normally you don't think about this type of a thing like, oh, splitting the pot, it's really easy, 50-50, but it's not 50-50. It depends on the hand that they have, the players, like how many players win or not win. It depends on how much they put in. It just depends on so much. So if there are poker dealers out there who are learning how to deal poker and they're also having a hard time learning how to split the pot, what are some things that they could keep in mind that might help them with this?
Well, the first thing is in Texas Hold'em or any type of poker game, Texas Hold'em being the most popular, you can only win an equal amount to that which you put in from each player. So if I only have $50 in chips and I put in $50 in chips, I'm only allowed to win a maximum of $50 from each player. And any other amount beyond that can be split between other people that are there. Other than that, it's just a question of procedure. And like you said, it can get relatively complicated.
Okay, cool. And is there any math tricks or keys that dealers could use or that they could think about that might help them when splitting up the pot? Or
I like that. You're trying to get me to like give the tips that people can take away and really gain power from. Something, let me see. Something that can help. So the question that you sort of asked, let me pull this over here for a second. So I've got like a pot that I sort of put here and a board that I put here, right? And I'm going to do a little bit of a walkthrough here and just sort of show how to split a pot. But at the same time, I sort of want to answer your question. So let's say that this player only has $50 left. Like we said, I'll push the rest of these chips over here. So this is $50 right here. And they go all in, and these players both go all in for 100 each. We'll say that they're not all in, actually. We'll just say that they bet 100 each. And as a dealer, you need to kind of keep track of who's eligible for these amounts. So the first thing, as we said, because this player's only in for 50, they're only allowed to win 50 from each other player. And so we know that 50 plus 50 plus 50 are going to go into the main pot, and then the rest will be on the side. Now, this is a little different than splitting pots, but nonetheless, this is a part of how to deal poker. By the way, Heather, this is stuff that I teach to people in the membership section in mine, but I love you, so I'm happy to teach you and all people who don't get to. So what we do is we put this amount in the main pot, and now we've got the rest on the side over here. All right, and we don't know yet that we're going to be splitting this. And let's say we show down and we see that everybody here has a 5, which I don't know if you can see. There's a 6, 4, 3 deuce on the board. This player has a 5, this player has a 5, and this player has a 5. So they all have a 6 high straight, all splitting the same exact hand. Now, a tip over here that's going to help you with this is to remember, if you say you have lots of side pots, you can actually, when you pull the money in, you can stack chips toward this player to remember that this pot, this main pot, they're only eligible for this one. That's a really good way to keep track when you have a lot going on, because when you're new at dealing poker, it can be pretty overwhelming. So one thing I would say to make it a lot easier for you as a dealer is whenever you have a pot, when you're new, you can always trail chips toward the player who is eligible for that pot to keep track. I hope that that is the type of tip that you're looking for.
That's exactly the type of tip I'm looking for. That makes it much easier to keep track of what goes where, right?
Yeah, this is like a 30-hour video on my channel. So there's a lot of stuff in this, but that's one of those pieces. So
if people have any more questions after this video and they want more information, where would they find that video? What website could they go to find that?
Well, you can literally just stay right in YouTube and go to True Poker Dealer, the True Poker Dealer channel. So you just search True Poker Dealer. You can do 3 words. You can do 1 word.
We have it linked in the description. You should be able just to click the description and you can go directly to it.
Yeah, and then from there, you'll find content on my channel that includes this, and yeah, you'll be able to find it is the answer.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. And before we move on, for our viewers out there, if you like this video and you want to help support Vegas Aces, then please remember to tip your dealer. And now you can with Super Chat. Super Chat is a way YouTube allows you to show your appreciation by tipping me any amount you want. Go ahead, give it a try, or show your support by becoming a member of our Patreon page. We have several different levels and rewards for you to choose from. Any membership level counts, even $1, so please go join today. Now, with those super chats, we have super chat perks, and one of those perks, for example, when Jay did the $5 super chat, $5 would be a story. So my question to you is, Mark, do you have a story about a time where you split the pot and, I don't know, maybe something went wrong, or the players were unhappy with how it was split, or someone, like one of the players did the math wrong and they're like, no, I should have the whole thing. And you're like, oh my God, I got to explain this to the person. Like, do you have any stories of that happening?
Well, I do have a story of a mistake that I once made. So I just showed you I had the $100 bet, the $100 bet, and the $50 bet out here. Well, one time it was heads up, and the player on this side bet an amount that I hadn't counted yet, and the player on this side said the word call. And once they said the word call, both players decided to show down. And we could see very quickly that this player had actually won. So in this case, they weren't splitting the pot. This player had won the whole thing. And when that happened, I took the losing hand and I mucked it like you do. And then I just started pushing the whole pot to that player, except I had forgotten to get the money from this player for that pot. And the problem was, and this was a shortcut that I took as a dealer, Heather, you know, there's plenty of shortcuts in dealing too, right? The problem was I pushed the pot right through this player's bet before I counted it. So there was no way for me to know how much this player had actually bet. And I called the supervisor over because as a dealer in casinos, it's easy. At the end of the day, it's easy. You call a supervisor and you're like, yay, I don't have to do this. I just get sit here and get yelled at, right? But this player over here was pretty upset. This player over here was pretty upset. And all I could say was, yeah, that was not how I was supposed to do that, right? And then the supervisor came and they did their best to come up with an amount that was correct. But there's a dynamic there where they have to be careful. They cannot, as a supervisor, take an extra amount from the player who's got a call. So it's like this weird thing where they lowball a little bit and it's uncomfortable to be there. But yeah, there's my story for a mistake that I once made.
Awesome. Sounds good. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've had my microphone muted this whole time. Pip, 1 second. My apologies, real quick.
That's okay. While Heather's playing with Pip, maybe what I can do now is show the rest of this at Showdown to start stacking up the pot. So we have cash value chips here for this. If it's a tournament, you don't have to do it like this, but you cannot touch the chips like you do when you're in a roulette table when they're cash value. You have to use your fingertips to stack them up. You can't roll them into your hands like this. So here, the first thing that we do when we realize, in this case, back to the hand that we have, that all of these are the same hand, they're all a 6-high straight, we need to stack these chips and we go largest denomination closest to us. And if you don't have an even amount, you just create an even amount in the next largest denomination. And then you start stacking chips toward yourself, just like this. However, we would actually have done this for the outside pot first. So we would start in the outside pot over here. I was just sort of showing the method. And we would do this. And I'm going to create a little bit of a challenge here by throwing this chip here. I'm pausing for a second because I don't want to give away all of the procedure just yet before Heather's ready. I'm curious, is Pip still going a little crazy?
No, so I'm back. Pip went out on the balcony, thank goodness. So you can't hear her as well. Thank goodness. But we did get a couple super chats because people want to give her treats. So that way she stops barking. So we got a few super chats for Pip. Thank you guys very much for that. Really do appreciate it. And before we go on, we do have another super chat where Greg is asking, do you know of any poker rooms that are reopened? Now, in Las Vegas, I believe there are a couple poker rooms that are open, and then there are a few poker rooms that are getting ready to open, and then half of the poker rooms are still closed. So it really just depends on the casino and what they're doing. In your area, Mark, do you know if your casinos have poker open at the moment due to COVID?
In South Florida, as of August 31st or so, most of the pari-mutuel poker rooms have opened. The Seminoles have been open for a while. So just about everything has been given the green light in South Florida. But then again, in Florida, you're allowed to have restaurants at maximum capacity. So I don't know, stuff's a little crazy down here, but everything seems to be open in Florida. And also, hey, Greg is on my channel and my live streams all the time. Very much enjoy him. Glad to see him here too.
Awesome. Yeah, Greg's really cool. He's been one of our viewers for a while as well. So that's so cool when we have like the same viewers. Hopefully you guys can't hear Pip as well as I'm hearing her. Fingers crossed. Before we continue on, I just want to say real quick, if you guys like this video and you want to help support Vegas Aces, then one of the ways that you could do so is by going to vegas-aces.com and clicking on one of our affiliate banners. When you sign up for an account through an affiliate link, then our site gets a small commission for that. And it really helps, especially during times like this, during COVID. If you ever have any problems at all, any disputes, any questions, anything like that, let us know. We are here for you. We're here to help you, and we will do everything that we can to get your question or concern answered. Now that we have that over, and I really hope you guys can't hear Pip because she is just going off.
I think it's all right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little bit, but it's all right.
Oh, good. So are there any situations that you come across regularly when you're splitting a pot that people can be aware of, and maybe like once they're aware of it, they know what to do when they see it happening?
Well, the first thing is so I'll show you this, right? When you're starting off with a side pot, which that's one thing, you always want to start with the outside pot first, okay? And you go to split this pot. The first thing that you want to see, and make sure this is in the camera. Yeah, you can see this. There is one extra dollar here, and here's the dealer button, okay? So there's this terminology that's used in poker in terms of who gets the extra chip. Okay, because you can't cut this thing in half, right? It has to go to one player, and there's just a rule that has to be put in play in order to determine who gets it. So this gets confusing to people because the terminology across the entire poker industry is closest to the button gets the extra dollar. And I can't tell you how much confusion that phrase, whoever decided to start with that, has caused. What that actually means is closest to the button implies the next person in the future hands that is going to receive the button. So between these two players here and here, this person has the button now, which means it's going to be a long time, one hand at a time. The button travels around the table, one hand at a time. It's going to be a long time before they get the button again. And this player here is going to get it one hand before them. So they are technically closest to the button, even though this player is on the button. I like to say first to act in the hand gets the extra chip in any flop game, any button game. It's the person who was first to act, flop, turn, and river. They're the ones that get the extra chip. And as I'll show you in a second, if there's multiple people all splitting the same pot, you can have a situation where more than one person gets the extra chip, and you just keep going. First to act, person who was first to act is the person who gets the extra chip. And if there's more than one, they don't both go to the same person. The second extra chip goes to the second person, and so on in order. So in this case here, as a dealer, you could easily just take this chip, give it to this player here, which is, again, closest to the button, means the person who's going to get the button in the future first, or also known as first to act for that betting round, is the person who gets the extra chip. You give it to them first, and then you split the pot just like that. And in a moment, I think, I'll show you guys how to do it with 3 players.
Sounds good. So I had a quick question. So what do you say to a player who might be a little bit confused about what's going on and might try to dispute your actions?
So every single poker player in the world loves trying to run the game, right? And I'm not being serious. Some people are amazing and they try to help and all that stuff, but poker players love trying to run the game. So when somebody gets on your case and starts telling you what to do, ultimately the best way to handle it. Now let me jump into my dealer brain on a table for a second. The first thing that you can do is you have to kind of take a snapshot of yourself. Do you know what you're doing? I mean, honestly, you need to know whether or not you know exactly what you're doing. If you're not right, it's much safer to just call the floor in that spot. If you're not positive that you know what you're doing, maybe they're talking about something and you don't know the answer instantly, right? So you have this thought, maybe they're right. If that happens to you, call the floor, because there's no reason making a mess that's really difficult to clean up, which is what happens when you try to solve the problem all the way from the point where the player brings something up until the end, okay? So do call the floor if that's you and you're new, right? For me, somebody with a lot of experience, I'm going to know the answer. I'm going to know both the answer in the industry, so I'll have context for what they're talking about, if they're talking about the rules of another property, and I'm also going to know the answer at the poker room that I work at, which is not always the same thing. And you need to be sensitive to that the more that you get into it. So the way that I would handle it would be to just clearly state and explain what it is that the procedure in the room is as I'm doing it. So if they're saying, hey, the extra chip is supposed to go closest to the button, it's supposed to be the person, I have the button, I'm supposed to get it. Now I would explain what I just explained to you. So through explanation calm, confident explanation, I'm able to get the player to hear how the rule is. And I would give supporting information saying, and this house specifically has that. I mean, if you can go this far, you say on page 41 of the manual, right? Most people can't do that stuff. Sometimes I can. I'm just saying, using clear explanation is the best way to do it. But at the end of the day, you never want to be confrontational with a guest. You never want to be the person that's pushing back and demanding that you know what's right. Even if you know what's right, if you don't see a peaceful way to handle it, call a floor. Done.
That's really, really good advice. And I would be the dealer that would push back and get myself in trouble because I opened my mouth. So I know, yeah, right? Like, I know you get in trouble for that. So don't do that. Exactly. Follow his advice.
It can be hard. You got to like lower your pride sometimes and all that stuff, right? Yeah. It's tough.
Yep, totally. Before we go on, if you guys are watching, if you have any questions at all, any comments, suggestions, anything like that, please put it in the chat. We are going to go through the chat at the end of the video and answer your questions. So please put it in there. Just a quick reminder, Vegas Aces is supported by viewers like you. Donations make it possible for us to bring you these videos for free. If you think that this video is worth more than $0, please donate the amount you feel it's worth by clicking the link in the description below. Now, what was that you were talking about where you were saying like 3 people like doing the...
So here we have a situation where this player over here was all in, this player and this player both made bets. I've already split up the side pot. So now I have to split this one up. Now I stacked this to show you how to stack a pot in general, but realistically in this hand, there's 3 winners that have to win. So I only split it 2 ways. I have to split it a 3rd way. So it's going to look like this. And I don't know if you can see this. I'll get these chips out of the way for a second. So I have 25 here, and then I use red chips to safely create my original stacks. Then I go to the next largest denomination, and I'm going to do the same thing 3 ways. And I'm going to pretend like my table is perfectly level. Yeah, that's right. Now I have an extra $5 chip. So I have 10 extra dollars here. I am going to have to make some change for this, and I'll do it the proper way. And then we go 3 ways here. So now there's 1 extra chip. Let's just pretend for the heck of it that there's 2 extra chips. All right. So it's just like before. Okay. The thing that I do is I look and see who's first to act. This player right here is first to act. So they get the first extra chip. This player gets the next extra chip. And then we split up the pot 3 ways. So we go 1, 2, 3, and we take the cards. So in that case, as you noticed, this player got an extra chip, this player got an extra chip. And just to say it, you don't have to give them the extra chip before you push the pots. That's just something that I do to make it very clear. You're more than welcome to put it on top of the stack as you push it out. I don't do that because by separating that, people who don't pay attention still see it is the real answer. Okay, cool. But it's not a huge deal either way.
And you cover all of this in your videos that you sell?
I do. The splitting the pot is something that it just the amount of scenarios that you have to do. I mean, what do you do when there's 6 pots and how do you split all 6 of them and all this different stuff? I have extensive videos. If you join my channel, you can get access to all this stuff. It's like 35 hours of lessons. This is probably about 1.5 hours to 2 hours of it. And the side pots and multi-way all-ins that we touched on as well, that's probably 3 hours in there as well. And I get asked about that stuff all the time. I mean, there's a lot to it, right? It's one thing to see what we just did in this one scenario. It's another thing to see what we just did in multiple scenarios that cover all the nuances that can come up that maybe this hand doesn't have.
Right. That's a really good point. And while you were saying that, Greg did a super chat and he said, oh, yeah, I call those players table captains. They drive me absolutely bananas. And he said he did find himself in that kind of a situation at Mohegan Sun. So
I love that he said that. The person that helped me create True Poker Dealer years ago, Jerry, still a good friend of mine, he was a dealer for 8 years as a second career. Now, he went into that having been a professional photographer, and it's just, you have a certain amount of pride, right? When he was a dealer, he didn't care as much, because at the end of the day, he'd already had a career and he was sort of doing it for fun, right? So he used to like take the deck and say, you try it. You want to do it? You want to do it? You think you can do this? And that's how he fought table captains. I'm not saying I recommend it, but listen, if you're sort of older and retired and don't care as much, I mean, you can do whatever you want on your last day, right? Just have fun.
Plus, that's part of being a dealer, is letting your personality shine through, because you end up entertaining the people on the table, and then they want to be on your table longer, which is good for the casino.
That's absolutely true. And the other people who he's not talking to in those situations often loved hearing it.
Cool. Now, again, remember, if you guys have any questions, please put it in the chat. Joey did a $2 super chat. Thank you very much. And I promise I will, while Mark was talking, I gave Pip a couple treats. That's why she's not barking anymore. She's like eating. So thank you guys very much for that super chat. And is there anything else, Mark, that we didn't go over that you want to go over real quick before we go to questions?
Well, there is just something I want to sort of plug. So I have True Poker Dealer. I definitely am very involved in helping train dealers on how to deal poker. I also have a new project that I'm very passionate about. It's called Live Poker Coaching. It's another YouTube channel, Live Poker Coaching. One word for the name of the YouTube channel. Myself and a poker pro, Michael Lockey, we have a really great time helping teach Mike's system, where he can literally just go in and view a table, and between the players at the table and the stacks that they have, he can evaluate how many opportunities he has if he were to sit down for making money. And he shares his entire system through one hand at a time, where we simulate out 2-5 no limit cash hands for 500 hands. We just started putting this online. He shares all of that for free on YouTube on the Live Poker Coaching channel. I'm super excited about this project, so I just wanted to mention Live Poker Coaching.
Cool. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to your chat real quick. Let's see if you guys have any questions. Joey says, it was through True Poker Dealer that I first found Vegas Aces, and then Casino Dealer J through Heather's channel. 3 excellent educational channels worth watching. Thank you, Joey. That's so cool. Yeah. Yeah, it's nice when our audience is able to find really good YouTubers through our channels. You know what I mean? Like, the more information we could give you guys, the better.
Yeah, always. Absolutely. YouTube feels like this huge world, but it's pretty small for us. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a nice little community. I really like it. I enjoy the people on here. Greg says, what I usually do is stack the pot up and see how much there is. If I'm not mistaken, the odd dollar would go to the first seat to the left of the button. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah, it's first to act after the flop, turn, and river is always going to be the player to the left of the button. Cool. Yep.
And then he also says, in addition, the dealer would say, player is all in for the main pot. Action from here on out is on the side.
Yep, that's a very good way to talk your game. Just like in table games, talking your game is essential to be clear and prevent table captains from feeling like they have to speak up when you're dealing. And that's a good example of it.
Are there other examples of talk that poker dealers would say on their game?
Yeah, I mean, specifically for what we just demonstrated with the split pots, if you announce extra chip goes to player who's first to act, or extra chip goes to, this seat and this seat, because of it, like announcing where the extra chip goes, announcing what you're doing, right? Splitting this into 3 parts because it's being split 3 ways. All of that stuff, when you communicate exactly what you're doing, it gives players confidence. It's a great way to practice. And with this side pot over here, these 2 players split the side pot. There's 1 extra chip. It goes. All that stuff is very helpful.
Cool. And Greg says too, I'm in live poker coaching as well. I do it to improve my game. And oh no, once he humiliated Mark. No.
So he absolutely did. The thing that I do now, Greg is a member on my channel, and he's a part of the All Texas Hold'em lessons, where you can learn fully how to deal poker. And people that are in that membership level, I allow them to play hands against me in my live streams. And so the most recent one, he shipped all in against me with an absolute bluff and got me to fold. And everyone was watching, and he ended up winning a pot that I had top pair. I had a pair of aces, and I was like, nah, I can't stay in this. I can't. He's got to have a good hand. And he did get me to fold. It took him 3 hands to figure it out, meaning 3 separate live streams to get that zinger on me, but he absolutely crushed it. I could have tried calling, but I was afraid of looking stupider for calling. So what are you going to do?
Oh, that's funny. That's cool. And she needed some spotlight, so she decided to come up here. So we got another question real quick, and this is from Casino Dealer Jay. And Jay, thank you very much for the super chat. My 5-year-old loves playing with poker chips. Just wondering if you know of anyone that does that on YouTube.
So I super appreciate that question. My 8-year-old Ryan has nicknamed himself Lil Chip Architect, L-I-L' Chip Architect. And he has a YouTube channel where he builds things out of poker chips, such as fortresses and all kinds of fun stuff. And he had a great time. He does most of the editing himself, believe it or not. You know, he learned Final Cut and all that stuff. Lil Chip Architect, you can watch him build and destroy stuff and then rewind the stuff that you destroy and then show it again in slow motion and all that stuff. So yes, I love your question, and you're awesome, Jay.
That is so cool. And it's not just kids that do it either. Even casino managers and dealers do it. I remember when I was a dealer, and I was on a dead game, there was nothing going on. So my floor supervisor came over and we were playing. Don't do this. This is horrible. Please do not do what I do. We were sitting there playing with the chips. Do not play with the chips on a dead table. Seriously, really bad. But we would sit there and we would play with dead chips. And this guy, I was just so freaking amazed at this guy. He had a chip on the bottom, a chip standing straight up, and then a chip on top of that, and then a chip straight up. And then he was like going to put another chip on top of it, and he made it. And I was like, I've never been able to do that. I have tried and I've tried and I've tried, and I can't get past that second level. And it's just so hard. And he just blew my mind with that.
If you get it on YouTube, I will have Ryan imitate it and figure out how to do it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in person. I've seen that with cards, right?
Yeah.
With cards like that, but I haven't seen the vertical stack chips. I'm super curious to see what that looks like.
Yeah, it literally blew my mind, and I've never been able to duplicate that, and I've tried, and I just cannot do it. Let's see if we have another question real quick. Joey says, Jay, I can recon your 5-year-old and do all the tricks better than you. Oh God. And Jay says that he can spin a roulette ball better than I'm sorry. Jay's son says I'm totally screwing all of this up. Jay says his son can spin a roulette ball better than him. I swear I could read this. Oh my God.
I can only snap it. I did deal table games for a little bit. I can snap it, but I definitely don't have those skills anymore. It's been like 10 years.
You learned how to snap though?
Yeah, I never learned how to sling, even though the dealers there would like do that sometimes. I learned how to snap it. Slinging goes faster, I know.
No, don't sling, because when you sling, you get a cyst in your wrist.
Oh, great.
Yeah. I learned that the hard way because I snapped the roulette ball the wrong way, and I got a cyst in my finger, and I had to get surgery to get it out. And there was a couple times where I was snapping and I screwed up, and it went one time, I swear to God, the ball like jumped into a woman's shirt into her like bra area, and she had to dig around there to look for it. And then the other time, a guy was standing up at the table, and I snapped the ball, and it hit his groin area, and I was like bright red, and he's like, "Oh, so that's where you were looking."
Yeah, real score. Heather 1, player 0.
Right. Yeah. So bad. Oh, Marc, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and your knowledge. And one more time, can you please tell people where they can find you?
Thank you for having me. So happy to come every time. Yes, I'm Marc Shumsker. You can find me on YouTube, just like Heather. True Poker Dealer is the name of the channel. And I'm there all the time. I do live streams myself every Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern time. I'm there and I have a good time.
Awesome. And you could find, again, the link to his channel in the description below. So you could just click right to it. I just wanted to say this real quick. Greg says, roulette balls, you don't know where they've been. And on that note, the cut card, you don't know where they've been. I've seen people kiss the cut card, and I'm like, dude, 2 hours earlier, I saw a guy put that in his pants, and it wasn't cleaned or anything since then. So
that'd be an interesting movie, to just be a roulette ball, the camera inside the ball, seeing where it goes. Right?
Sometimes it would be R-rated.
Yes, it would.
Thank you again so much. And just a reminder for you guys who are watching, we do a live stream every Monday and Thursday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So please join us for our next live stream next Thursday. And until then, this is Heather Ferris with Vegas Aces, reminding you that education can change the world. Thanks, everyone.